Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Society of Albany. I am Albert DeSalvo, one of the service associates who collaborate on the services with our minister, the Reverend Ann Kadlecek. Before we enter into our service this morning, I have more than a few announcements about upcoming events. And I want to remind the congregation and those listening that if you do have any announcements, you need to get them into the office Friday or before, and not the day of the service. Immediate one, though, a black BMW lights are flashing. That's LHY 7599. That may or may not be somebody's here. In addition, for fellowship and food, it's potluck and pizza night at Albany UU, Friday, November 8th, 5:30 at Channing Hall. Bring a dish to share if your busy day allows. The Congregational Life team will add pizzas to the offering and guarantee a good time for all. This is multi-generational. There will be a creativity area for the youth, and you can sign up later in Channing Hall. From the Ministry Operations team, join us at noon here in Community Hall for a conversation regarding our pipe organ. Members of the organ study group, as well as members of the Ministry and Operations team, will be in attendance to discuss the recommendations from the organ group's report and to address any questions or concerns. There will be a second conversation Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. on Zoom. Login details for the Zoom meeting can be found in this week's windows. Any questions regarding these conversations, please see Bob Franklin. After today's service, those here in Community Hall are invited to coffee hour in Channing Hall, where we will celebrate Dave Metz's birthday with cake from the reception team, as well as enjoying Halloween treats and activities hosted by the Programs for Children and Youth Council in partnership with Suddenly Adults Swarming, or SAS, pronounced SAS. SAS is Albany UU's group for young adults, and they're throwing a Halloween party this Thursday evening here at the church. Details are available from Zoe Hutchins and Adrian Cattell. And I hope finally, anyone who has a photo or other memento that they would like to display on the tables over here to my right, if you haven't brought it up already, please bring it forward during the congregational greeting. We're offering 2 pre-election opportunities for grounding and connection. First, next Sunday, in addition to the regular 10 a.m. service, Reverend Ann and Olga are offering a pre-election contemplative service, in person only, in the sanctuary at 6:30 p.m. It will be a time of music, poetry, silence, and candles, where we can feel what we're feeling in the space that we create and share together. And we'll share food together afterwards. And then a week from Tuesday, Election Day, Annie Lipinski will offer an online time of mindfulness. You could find the link in the upcoming Windows Weekly. And I also draw your attention to the announcements printed in the order of service. And now let us settle ourselves for this morning's service. Again, I welcome you to the First Unitarian Universalist Society of Albany. I'd like to extend a special welcome to those who are visiting with us this morning, whether in person or online. We aspire to be a beloved community, open and welcoming to all. If you'd like to know more about our congregation, please join us after any service for coffee and conversation, where you can also check out our welcome table. Now, please turn off your electronic devices, and I invite you to take about 30 seconds to briefly say hello to someone near you, or if you're on Zoom, online.
Hello, Jan McCracken. This is Pat Snyder. Hope you're well.
Our prelude this morning is the music Things That Never Die by Lee Dengler, and the words are by Charles Dickens.
Good morning. I'm Ann Kadlecek, the minister here, and I'm glad you're here for this, our annual service of remembrance. The end of October is, in many traditions, a time to pause and call to mind and heart those who lived and died, and whose lives mattered to us. Some would say this is a time when the veil between the worlds of the living and the dead is thin. As the days get shorter and cooler and the leaves turn, it has that feel. Today we move into a space where love and loss come together, with trust in the strength of this community to hold us as we remember both those who have passed into the mystery and some things that never die. Welcome to Albany Unitarian Universalist. You are joyfully and tenderly called to community. Our opening hymn is number 212, We Are Dancing Sarah's Circle. We will be singing verses 1, 3, and 5, and there is a change in the last line of each verse for inclusivity, so please use the slide for those words at least. Please rise in body and or spirit.
Each week, when we gather, we light a chalice, symbol of Unitarian Universalism. Our chalice lighters today are the Taurus family, Luis, Hilary, Miquela, and Micah. Please join us in saying our chalice lighting words. They're in your order of service. As on and on the circle moves, we light this chalice in the presence of the great mystery of life and death. Thank you.
As you may know, the Hindu Festival of Lights, Diwali, begins this Thursday, October 31st, and we wish those who celebrate a bright and beautiful holiday. Our story today is from the Hindu tradition, as told by D.M. Kartha and adapted by me. It is called How Night Came Into Being. For our story today, we don't have any pictures up on slides as we often do, and I invite you to use your imagination and make your own pictures in your mind as you listen to the story. Once upon a time, only a twin brother and sister lived upon the earth. Their names were Yama and Yami, and they loved each other dearly. They roamed the earth, enjoying its smells and tastes, its sounds and sights, the touches of the breezes, and the feel of the grass beneath their feet. Where Yama and Yami lived, it was always daytime, and the season was always spring. The sun never set, and the moon and stars lay hidden behind its bright golden light. Time stood still, and there was neither yesterday nor tomorrow. The flowers never wilted or died. It was never dry or cold. The birds never became tired of flying, and the trees were never empty of plump, ripe fruits. In this eternal happy place, the twins lived peacefully and joyfully together. One time, Yami returned from taking a walk by herself to find Yama lying under a tree as if he was asleep. She whispered his name, but he did not answer. She cried out his name in a loud voice, but still there was no answer. Then she shook him gently, but he did not move. She could see no sign that he was breathing, and his body felt cold and still. Yami suddenly knew that her brother Yama was dead. Yami's sorrow, deeper than the ocean, began to flow out of her heart and through her eyes as tears. The river of her tears swelled and began to flood the world. Her sobbing shook the earth and sky, and her grieving heart sent forth an intense fire that started heating everything up. The gods and goddesses of the elements became worried about the welfare of the earth and all of its creatures. They were afraid that Yami's mourning would bring around the destruction of the world. The gods and goddesses went to Yami. They hugged her and spoke words of comfort to her. But Yami was too sad to listen. She kept repeating one sentence over and over again. Yami died today. Yami died today. The gods and goddesses left in despair. They went to a hillside and sat in silence. There, a thought occurred to them. Yami's sorrow was not just caused by her love for her brother. In her life, she had known only today. There was no yesterday and no tomorrow. For the pain of Yama's death to become easier for her to bear, today must end and tomorrow must begin. The gods and goddesses summoned their powers of creation. First, they created the sunset. Then, slowly, a gentle blanket of night which enveloped the world. Under the soothing, dark sky of the first night, Yami fell asleep just as the birds and animals did for the very first time. When she awoke, the sun was rising in a glorious dance of colors in the eastern sky. Yami said to herself, Yama died yesterday. The following day, the gods and goddesses heard Yami say, Yama died the day before yesterday. And as the days went by and time passed on, Yami's pain slowly lost its power to haunt her. She never forgot her dear brother, but her sadness became less fiery, her tears dried up, and the danger her sorrow posed to the world began to fade away.
Now I invite you into our ritual of remembrance. This is a time for recalling anyone on your heart who lived and died and left something of themselves with you. Whether they be family or friends or teachers or animals, whether the death was recent or long ago, anyone that you would like to recall today. Perhaps call to mind some who you haven't consciously remembered for a while, or those whose absence you feel on a regular basis. And you may find that this remembering brings up other kinds of losses as well. So often they're intertwined. If that happens for you, perhaps invite those losses into this space as well. We begin our ritual with the names of members and friends of this congregation who died in the past year.
Jackie Williams, Sally Knapp, Peter Schiff, Marion Harwick, Earl Zimmerman, Lois Thompson, Anita Patka, Dee Van Riper, Dave Brandon, Arlene Gilbert.
We remember them, and we light this candle in their honor. Now let's take a moment to be in silence together as each of us calls to mind the names that are on our heart. Don't say them yet, just remember and let us be still for a moment together. There is power and care and blessing in remembering those whose lives touched ours. And there is power and care and blessing in saying their names. So now, all together, from wherever you are, I invite you to say the names of those you wish to remember today out loud and into this sacred space. No need to move anywhere or wait for silence. Just speak as you are moved. Let us be in silence again, holding the love and the loss together in this community as we remember them and as Al lights a candle in their honor. Spirit of love and great unknowable mystery, with the light of these candles, recalling the light of these beloved beings, we offer their names with reverence. May we continue to receive their healing light and to share it with one another and the world. as we remember. Amen.
Thank you so much to Olga and the Albany UU Choir for that beautiful piece, and to Zoe and Randy and Kathy, our soloists today. Our reading is by the poet Albert Hufstekler. We think we get over things. We don't get over things. Or say, we get over the measles, but not a broken heart. We need to make that distinction. The things that become a part of our experience never become less a part of our experience. How can I say it? The way to get over a life is to die. Short of that, you move with it. Let the pain be the pain, not in the hope that it will vanish, but in the faith that it will fit in. And be then not any less pain, but true to form, because anything natural has an inherent shape and will flow towards it. And a life is as natural as a leaf. That's what we're looking for. Not the end of a thing, but the shape of it.
Today we remembered some of those who became part of our experience and are still no less a part of our experience. Those who knew us, taught us, changed us, loved us, and brought light into our lives. Those memories bring with them some things we don't get over: love, loss, grief. All three of those exist together. Unfortunately, we can't have one without the others. That's why even remembering the love is a brave thing to do. It hurts. Often other emotions are easier to bear than grief, so we go there instead. Anger isn't much fun either, but it can feel better than grief. Like Yami, our mourning can bring destruction. Or we distract ourselves with something else so we can avoid really remembering. I'm pretty good at that one. About 1.5 years ago, my dog, Pedro, died. We'd been together for 15 years. We had a lot of fun and adventures. We went through some stuff together. We were living in Maryland at the time, but visiting Connecticut. And I had no idea when I began that trip that I would return home without him. And when I got home, the very first thing I did was to remove all the dog stuff from my apartment. All 4 dog beds, which might have been excessive. The food, treats, medications, toys, water bowls, leashes, everything went. Some things couldn't be donated immediately, but I boxed them up and stored them away, out of sight, out of mind. I even rearranged the furniture to fill in the gaps and vacuumed up the dog hair. I am not by nature a diligent housekeeper, and the place looked better than it ever had. You would never know that a dog was an integral member of this household just a few days before. My very human response to that loss was to put things in boxes and rearrange the furniture so the loss and the grief were out of sight, out of mind. Over it, moving on. There's just one problem. Author Anne Lamott puts it this way: all those years I fell for the great palace lie that grief should be gotten over as quickly as possible and as privately. But what I've discovered since is that lifelong fear of grief keeps us in a barren, isolated place, and that only grieving can heal grief. The passage of time will lessen the acuteness, but time alone, without the direct experience of grief, will not heal it. In the immediate aftermath of Pedro's death, I wasn't ready for more of the direct experience of grief. In a way, what I did was pretty healthy. It made my apartment livable for me without him. That frenzied house cleaning was also my version of trying to control something, and to make the grief vanish, or at least lessen. Box it up, put it away, get over it as quickly as possible. I have enough training and life experience to know that's what I was doing, and that it was not the route to healing. But in that moment, it was what I needed, and it's okay. We don't have to leap right in to letting the pain be the pain. But if we want to heal, we have to get there sometime. Only grieving can heal grief. In some cultures, this is understood and practiced. In the dominant culture in this country, not as much. As children, many of us receive confusing messages about how to grieve. And many of us are socialized not to show emotions, to pretend they aren't there, to the point that we have trouble accurately naming what we're feeling, much less letting the pain be the pain. Here in this community, we don't offer fixes. I will never tell you that the pain will go away, or time will heal all wounds, or that a loved one is in a better place. The first two don't match my experience, and the last one, I have no idea. But we can and do keep each other company and practice grieving together. Not in the hope that the pain will vanish, but in the faith that we will be changed so that eventually its shape will fit in. Alan Walfeld is a grief counselor, death educator, and renowned author. He puts this concept a little more clinically. Your pain exists to ask for your attention, compassion, and expression because these are the approaches that will allow you to integrate your grief over time and eventually heal. Our pain exists not to be ignored, downplayed, boxed up, gotten over, but to ask for our attention, compassion, and expression. It asks us to notice what is, to be gentle with ourselves and others, and to, in some way, name it and experience it. As we did through ritual today, or when we express grief in other ways, writing, art, music, movement, talking to someone. We can overdo it. There's a lot to grieve. All the names spoken today and those we didn't speak. There's grief for the loss of dreams, possibilities, health, maybe a sense of security. For the country we perhaps used to think we had, the state of the world at large, all the human suffering. For the planet itself. Our personal losses take place in this larger context, and it can get overwhelming. Paying attention to all of it at once is too much for anybody. It's okay to put some of it in a box for a bit while coping with the rest. But that pain, your pain, asks for your compassionate attention as you are able. It asks us to remember, speak the names, let the pain be the pain, and eventually, as it fits in, find a way to carry some of the light of those we grieve with us into the world. This is how we heal. And how we, in turn, bring some healing to the world. For we are part of an infinite web of life and love. We are connected to all that is. People have always experienced and will always experience love, loss, and grief. And everyone copes with the skills they have. Each of us learned how to cope from those around us, who in turn learned from the people in their lives. And there are people now learning from our choices about what we do with our pain. This larger perspective of our connection to all that is invites some compassion for ourselves and others in our responses to loss, as well as gratitude to anyone who may have taught us well. And it invites us to notice what we're teaching those around us. Are we showing them how to put pain in a box or channel it into anger, acting out, or distractions? Or are we showing them how to heal by letting the pain be the pain, in the faith that it will eventually fit in? Our choices matter for us and beyond us. The larger perspective of our connection to all that is also reminds us that we are not in this alone. That's a core message of Unitarian Universalism, and indeed most religions. You are not alone. Through the shared experience of love and grief that extends through time, we have a lot of company, even when it feels like we don't. I did finish giving away the dog stuff in those boxes. Most of it, anyway. But before I did, I opened them again. I took each item out. I held it in my hands and remembered. And just a few of those items I kept, in the faith that they and the loss would eventually fit in. And a year and a half later, I had finally adapted to the shape of that loss enough to bring a new dog into my life. Her name is Promise. Healing is not about going back to what was or getting over anything. It's about growing, letting the pain be the pain, in the faith that our life will expand, that we will be changed, and it will fit in. May we evermore let it be so. Amen. And now I invite the children, youth, and their adults as needed to leave quietly to put on your Halloween costumes. And for those remaining, the choir will sing Because of You by David W. Haas and Jay Tiefenbrunn. For all you have given, in all the ways you give, thank you. There are things we don't get over, the poet tells us, but they may yet find a true and natural place within our lives. For we are changed because of you. Let us be brave and remember intentionally and deeply all the saints of memory that we carry with us. May we say their names, tell their stories, and bring some healing to ourselves and this hurting world. And now, in addition to all the traditional days of remembrance that happen at this time of year, there is also Halloween. It's not a coincidence. Halloween emerged out of the older celebrations of harvest and ancestors. And I think Halloween has something to offer us in our efforts to adapt to the shape of what is. It's a reminder that our remembering together carries us into a future, and that future refuses to be cowed by the pain of being human. Even amid loss and the potential for future loss that scares us, we come together in joyful, courageous living. And today is a chance to be together in just such a way. First, right here, while we sing our closing hymn, we're having a costume parade. And then after the parade, there will be Halloween activities in Channing Hall and food. Once again, we are grateful to the Programs for Children and Youth Council and the young adults for providing all of that. And if it gets a little more action-packed than you were hoping for today, you're welcome to get some food, bring it back here to the back of Community Hall, where it might be a little quieter. And also, I encourage you to take a look at the photos up here, and also, if you have one up here, to be sure to remember to take it with you when you leave. Finally, about that closing hymn. It offers some interesting religious imagery around death, much of it in the verses that we're not singing from the book of Revelation. But I think the power of joyful, courageous living comes through even in the less dramatic verses that we chose today. So please rise in body and or spirit for our closing hymn, When the Saints Go Marching In. Words are on the insert in your order of service, and I invite the young people to march in as we sing.
Oh, okay.